Not yet.
No, we're live now.
Oh, we
Yeah.
are. Okay.
Oh, I'm gonna
Um,
like wave my energetic fingers to everyone. So welcome everyone to this quickie live with me and Gaia. And my name is Katrina, and we're gonna explore how to train your energetic fingers.
Love that topic.
So
Hmm.
Gaia, when did you discover you have energetic fingers?
Every day. I mean, I think every day it's a new training. Every day it's a new awareness and discovering how this whole energetic world works. So so when well I actually was thinking of talking about something that actually happened recently because actually it's
Go
been a
for it.
while. I think I probably discovered the energetics at my first being you class in Paris many years ago now, and and with some tools also of what's going on with the bodies as well, and actually so recently my dad passed away, and I was not really aware of it. I mean, I was aware of it when once he died, but 48 hours before it was actually I was myself feeling terrible. I thought I was the one dying. I was like, oh my god. But like with inside of myself knowing it didn't belong to me, as we have this tool in access consciousness, who does it belong to? And so I was using them, and yet I still could perceive like something that so heavy and just like something that was just like not going away. But I was relaxed. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like do the day after one day. And then one day I received the information that my dad passed away, and those last 48 hours was actually when he was going through this process of passing away. And then at this moment I was like, so because somewhere inside me I was like, I wish I could have been there for him and hold his hand like physically. But
Mm,
what that's where I want to go with like these energetic fingers, is that even if I was not there physically, I was there energetically. So that's
mm.
that part. But I didn't cognitively, I think, knew what was going on, but I was holding his hand energetically through those 48 hours.
Well,
And yeah.
Well, it's such a great example too, because if you look at it, like one of the things that I wanted to say is, I can go back to when I discovered it too later, but one of the things I want to say is our energetic fingers are so long, and they're not just our fingers. Sometimes it's easy to start to perceive your energetic capacities by actually kind of perceiving your energetic fingers, while your dad was actually reaching out his energetic fingers to
Mm.
you, and you were meeting him with your energetic fingers, because we like, it's kind of like all of us are energetic fingers. We're basically so much like whatever capacities we have sometimes seem to show up in our hands, but our hands are huge. I remember a session I had with Dr. Dane here in, I think it was in Brazil. It was in a Symphony of Possibilities class, and he sometimes brings people up on the table and work on them. And I had asked to increase my energetic capacities. It was the
Mm.
thing I asked for. And after that session, I set up after, and I felt like my hands were like 10 kilometers long. It was like I had this huge hands, like Edward Scissorhands, but times a godzillion. And like literally, like when I tried to move, it felt like I was like moving the whole world. Like it wasn't
Wow.
just, and it felt like this, like I had huge hands. And it was one of the times where it's like a physical sensation of how big our energetic fingers are if we're willing to be aware of it. So
And I want
that's
to ask you, what did you enjoy about it? Like, what makes you ask for more awareness about your energetic fingers? Like,
uh, well, I had discovered I used to be a mind on legs. I used to not think I had any energetic capacities, and that all my value was in my mind and my thoughts and possibly a little bit my humor. That was like, that was where I thought I was, made me valuable in the world. And then I started to explore energy and it really, was a little bit before Access Consciousness. I did some other personal development courses, a bit of Tantra. So I had like, kind of like, okay, there is something called energy. But my point of view about myself was still that I sucked at it. Like, it seemed cool what other people were receiving, but I wasn't really part of that. And then one of the things about Access Consciousness is that the point is that it empowers you to know that you know. So with the classes that I started to take, where this energy bodies were like my two big energy bodies, and touch were like the things that hadn't really been part of my life before Access, and then became my main interest. Like the thing that I was most fascinated about was there's a whole world out there. It includes bodies, it includes energy, it includes touch. So I really started to explore that from that kind of like childlike curiosity, where a new language, a new way of interacting with other people. I'm sure that I had energetic capacities before. It's not something, it's kind of like rediscovering who you really are. That's what a lot of this is about. Like, you're rediscovering who you be and who you can choose to be. But once I started to play with it, it really became this wondrous exploration that is never ending. I still find that I am training my energetic fingers, like you say, every single day. And I discover more and more things that I touch with them that I am not even aware. And it's not just the things that it's basically like, if you're really willing to start stretching and flexing and playing with your energetic fingers, you can move things over here in the world that influences something over here that you're asking for. So the energetic fingers is really like also playing with the ask and receive and the whole universe. And I never thought that I would be somebody that would actually explore this. So it's a whole new direction of my life.
Wow. But you know, when we're a kid, I think when we're a kid, we must get it's possible. Like, I mean, I remember sometimes seeing kids, they're like, oh, look, there's like rocks, lava everywhere. And like put the, like, and like, let's do it. Like, you know, it's like, but when you look at it, there's a movement, there's something going on energetically when they do that, you know, and at some point, I don't know what happens. We forgot, and like we go to like a regular, like, I don't know, we can adapt to the world. But if you look at it, everyone is interested by the magic, by
Yeah.
being able to like change things. And so that is what, you know, with the tools here and Symphony of Possibilities, you know, this is also where you get to train even more your muscle of what that is, and yeah, change the
And
world, change your life with just this, you
And
know.
something about what you were saying reminded me of this. In Deadpool 2, there is this
Love the
he's looking
references.
for a gang of, he's looking for, remind me of Deadpool 2, but he's looking for this crew of superheroes. He needs them to fulfill some task that I completely forgot now. But one of the superheroes, they apply kind of like to a job, and they come into his office and they tell him about what superpowers they have. And this girl comes in and says, I have the superpower of luck. And he says, that's not a superpower. And she says, oh, yeah, it is. And then all through the movie, that's the one superpower. I don't even remember what the other ones had, but I remember her superpower because she knew like how to get out of the way when a bus was falling from the sky. Things that she required just showed up for her. She had huge energetic fingers, and she was also willing to have the awareness of what was required and what to ask for every single moment. And I think when you mentioned the Symphony of Possibilities class, because it was about, I think maybe it's 9 years ago now, when Dane here started to facilitate these classes where people get to play themselves with energetic sessions. And today we have these classes also as introduction classes, introducing the symphony. We have opening of the symphony with Anthony. Like, these classes have mushroomed into the world. But one of the things that fascinates me about it is that you can come into a room in an introducing the symphony class, and the majority of people never, ever played with energy. They've never considered themselves able to do it. And within 2 hours, they actually have a sense that this is possible. I am moving energy. I have energetic fingers. I can actually I can actually move energy by my request, by my energy, by my question in for this person in this room with the earth. And I think that's one of the most powerful thing in the universe, when you start to recognize that I actually have powers beyond my cognitive mind. I have potency that goes beyond what I can compute and figure out.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first symphony session you facilitated?
I remember I have a picture of it, so that helps me remembering it. Yes, it was really interesting because I think first it was exploring, and then it was maybe a little bit judging, like, am I just like pretending?
Yeah.
Like, is it actually happening, or is it just like? But I mean, at least it looks like anyway. So I was a bit like all this, like, what's going on? Um, but yeah, and then I remember I actually had made a video at that time after this class, and I was like, I remember explaining it as it was like a dance.
Yeah.
So it's a dance a little bit with, I don't know, the invisible, but not really invisible. Like, it's a dance with the energies, and that's how the first time. That's what, like how I saw it the first time. And there's actually, and so through the years like this, but then like we had these times where we had to be home, during, like,
Mhm.
some years. And so we did some, also the Symphony of Possibilities online. And I did remember there were a lot of people that kind of had a point of view about also doing it online, and maybe a little bit myself too. And then I was like, oh, I discovered something, like when you talk about the energetic fingers that could go all the way from, let's say, Europe to New Zealand, like,
Yes.
and with having, like, like what we are here right now, like we are, like, I mean, it's funny, we are through a computer, but I feel like I'm super, like, I'm next to you, Katarina, for
Yeah.
example. Like it's yeah. And so that was the same, and it also got to, for me, to be exploring different ways of what was the, the energetic fingers, that when
Mm.
you're working with someone in the room, and that open to, like, wow, there's actually no distance, like there is no walls, there's no separation, there is no, yeah. And it was like, wow, okay, so you can actually, like, contribute to someone something, or receive also from someone from something, like,
Mm.
kilometers apart. And
Mm.
so that breaks also the separation walls of what, might have been put in place into the world. So we are breaking those separation walls with having, exploring our
Yeah.
energetic fingertips.
And I also think of the thing you said, like, where you were wondering, am I making it up? And I remember
I
a
still am
session.
sometime, huh?
Yeah, and I am too. Like, am I crazy? Am I actually crazy? Why am I thinking this is changing anything? And I remember this session, it was also at a Symphony of Possibilities class. And I was working on this woman who didn't speak a lot of English, because, we have in our classes, we have people from all kind of countries. And sometimes when you work on somebody, you don't have a translator there. So I kind of knew what she wanted, out of the session we had, but not really. And she lay down. I had never met her before. And I started to work on her. And if you've seen a session when you're watching this, like, you've seen sometimes people move on the table, sometimes they make sounds, sometimes, all of that. But she didn't make a sound. She laid completely still all through the session. At one point, I asked her to turn over because, there was like another energy that I wanted to get to that was actually more here. And I kept working on her until the end of the session. In my head, I was, is anything happening? What is this? And I kept asking inside of me, like, you can do that when you do this session. So, okay, so what else? What more? And is anything happening? And I kept going, keep going. And then when she sat up, she looked at me and she said, thank you. I'm so grateful. I have a whole new sense of me. And I was like, wow, for this thing where you don't have to know or seek a result. The only thing that the energy is so nonlinear, so non-computable, that it's not about a result. It's not about somebody coming to you and saying, my toe hurts. Can you please fix it? Even though you can, of course, contribute to the toe if you would like to. It's a dance. like you're saying. It's a dance with the universe, the possibilities, the symphony of possibilities, the person on the table and where they're at that moment, where you're at that moment. And it's not a result or something, some kind of outcome you're going to. It's an exploration of possibilities. And this is also so against what we've learned. So it's kind of like a relearning of where you're actually heading when you play with these sessions. And that then seeps into your whole life. And your energetic fingers just get longer and longer because it seeps into how you navigate your own reality.
So true. I
So
don't know sometimes how people go through life without knowing this. like honestly, I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess that is not even a question. But I know that, like being able to know that I can put my barriers down and
mm,
that I can play with like the energy around me, it just makes your life so much easier. But not just the life. I mean, I think we're talking the whole world. Like you're just making everything easier and everything malleable. That's
mm,
also one of the gifts with this. Like everything that is solid, it's and now with
totally.
this, you like you make it to something that is changeable.
Mm. And I think it's so interesting because it's not like it's always easy. It's not like it's always perfect. That's not at all what this is about because life happens and then we forget even about our energetic fingers and our energetic capacities. We forget to use them. We forget to ask to put our barriers down. We forget to actually use that capacity of making things malleable by asking a question. And that's kind of the training. The training is to, oh, I can actually use a tool here. I can actually use the symphony of possibilities. I can actually ask for this energy to contribute to this situation. And so often, especially lately, it's like there's something that seems to be going on over here. And if you went into it and tried to resolve it or figure it out, it would just stay there because you're giving whatever this is all the energy. Well, if you actually move in a much bigger space where you use the questions, where you use the tools, and where you actually move the energies, this just goes away. And that's also one of the, again, like how the more you use this, the more you actually train yourself not to dive into the problem, not to dive into the upset, not to dive into all of that, and instead kind of go, okay, if I went bigger now, if I was actually looking at this energetically from the question, what would it be? What could I do with it? And that is one of the greatest gifts. It's not like that everything is easy. It's more that you actually have the tools to have it come to you with ease and joy and glory, like we talk about in Access. So, Gaia, we're going to come to you and your city.
Finally, finally.
Yeah. So the Symphony of Possibilities, there's quite a few classes since we're on the Europe Access page right now and on my page. So there's quite a few symphony classes coming up in Europe and around the world. And we do have one coming up really soon in Paris, France. It's like in 2 weeks. Is it in 2 weeks, Gaia?
Yes, correct. I think yes, it is more or less. Yes, 2 weeks.
So in
Yes.
2 weeks, you can join the Symphony of Possibilities training with Dr. Dane here. And during this weekend, I think it's on Saturday, there's actually a Taste of the Symphony class with Dr. Dane here that is live streamed all over the world from Prague, Czech Republic. So you could also join that and just have,
Oh yeah.
even if you've been to a zillion of classes, what would it be like to get a little energetic infusion? And that's one of the things that it always shifts and changes. They're never the same.
That's amazing. You mentioning this one that we're having in Prague. That is, depending where you are in the world, it's in the evening. It's for a couple of hours. Well, let's see. With day, we never know. But it will. It's also available online. But you can also travel to Prague. And I remember recently I was actually in Paris during another class, and we also had a Taste of Symphony with Dan and Anthony, and we had people, traveling from Germany, different countries, just like coming for this like unique class like into this evening, and it already opened up so much. Like you say, it's like it's not even like a taste for me. It's like a beginning of something. Like, so you are so welcome to be joining us like this. Yes.
And I just want to mention, so we started to do these introducing the symphony classes, which is a taster class similar to what Dane will be doing in Czech Republic, about 1.5 years ago now. And I think over nearly 3,000 people or something have started to just have a taste of the symphony through these classes. So you can also go to the website, to accessconsciousness.com/symphony. You can find an introducing the, see, it's right there on the screen. You can also find an introducing the symphony class close to you, and you can go in person and really see, okay, what is the symphony for you? What does it contribute to you, to your life, and how does it train these energetic fingers for you? Okay. I think, should we wave with our energetic fingers, Gaia?
Yes, we can. If
And
we
then,
can all together, like we could, like if all of you watching, you could
yes.
even start like this journey right now. Like just ask to have your barriers down. You can do it, with your hands if you're someone that likes to do things, or you just ask for it, and you
And the
can.
energy is already going. It's been going this whole live. I was just going to mention that. So this is also how energy works. So we're kind of, it's a way you read each other's minds without reading the actual thoughts. You actually read like where we're at. So yeah, so lower your barriers and just take a moment and receive the energy of the symphony. Like just be with whatever that is for you right now. Vibration, wave, an acoustic wavelength going through the world, bouncing between me and Gaia. She's in Czech Republic and I'm in Sweden. And that wave just kind of bounces between us. And then out to everyone who's listening now or in the future. Time doesn't really matter for this one either. So you can just receive. I love that you keep mentioning the barriers, Gaia, because even now and right now, like, what if you push them even further down
Mm.
and relaxed into that vibration of the symphony? And receive it and relax into it. And you know what? You can keep it going all day. You don't have to shut it off and become normal and interact with muggles in the world. You can actually keep this energy going and contribute with whatever you bring to it. Okay.
See, like to ever, like there's no words to it. It's funny, but like you start perceiving also the no words of it. The
Yeah.
more and more you get to be with this. Yeah. Well, I know
And that's
I'm
why,
way more relaxed.
yeah. And that's a miracle because Gaia
That's a
is getting
miracle.
ready to host a global foundation in Czech Republic with thousands of people. So the fact that we relaxed her all together, that's a gift in itself, a little miracle, a little French miracle.
Oh,
So
thank you.
thank you so much for coming on. And
Thank you.
hopefully
Thank
we'll
you.
see you in a symphony class somewhere around the world.
With the
Okay.
greatest pleasure, avec plaisir.
Avec plaisir. I like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh.